One of the folks that we highly respect in her opinion is Liz Peek. She's a columnist for foxnews.com, and she also, you can read her articles at fiscaltimes.com. Good morning, Liz. Good to see you as always. What'd you think of the exchange last night?
Well, I think for people who were hoping that Donald Trump would really go after Hillary Clinton in a really cogent and effective way, it was a disappointing debate. I mean, I think that attacking Hillary is so easy. There are so many grounds on which she is vulnerable. There's a reason why her dishonesty ratings are higher than Donald Trump's. But I think he kind of failed to do it. And frankly, I don't think he prepared enough. I mean, when the issue, for example, of cyber hacking came up, he should have just drilled right down on her email scandal, her careless handling of national secrets, et cetera. Instead, he allowed her to kind of pivot to this whole meme about his, buddy Vladimir Putin possibly hacking into our elections and kind of making him to be the goat in this. I mean, I thought he missed some opportunities. That said, I also think that the world is sort of recognizing that Lester Holt gave her a lot of openings to go after campaign themes. For example, the birther question. I don't really think many people in America think that the birther question is essential to our nation's future, but there it was as one of, let's face it, not that many questions, and it allowed Hillary Clinton to pursue charges of racism against Donald Trump. And we know that she is desperate to motivate Black voters to go to the polls. So that wasn't the only instance of Holt weighing in with something that was very helpful to Hillary Clinton. I thought his performance in general was very much helpful to her, but I was disappointed that Trump didn't capitalize on some openings that he had.
You know, you make a very good point here. I mean, there were a lot of huge openings for him to go after her last night, not only on cybersecurity, the issue of ISIS and Homeland Security. I mean, there were some really wide doors. He didn't go through them. Do you think it was a lack of preparation, or do you think it's strategic that he'll get her later and he was just trying to let her dump it all out now?
No, I think it's a lack of preparation. Honestly, there should be, had he practiced with his team more, I think, they could have just said, okay, triggers. Here, when you hear this, for example, the tax issue, really he should have this down by now. And for him to be playing defense about why he isn't revealing his taxes, the immediate pivot would be, and he did this to some degree, he said, I'll do it, I'll release my tax returns as soon as she comes out with their 30,000 emails. Or he could have said something a little more interesting, maybe, like, yes, and when you release the transcripts of your speeches made to Goldman Sachs audiences, I'll be happy to release my tax returns. In other words, keep reminding audiences of why they don't trust Hillary Clinton, of where she has been secretive, medical records. I mean, she's come up with a bare minimum medical records compared to, as we all know, John McCain a few years ago, when he released 1,200 pages of them. There are a lot of ways where he could practice kind of his comeback. And my guess is, look, he's a pretty quick study. He has made some important pivots in his campaigning approach in the last several weeks, and it's working for him. I'm hoping that Kellyanne Conway can convince him that this is another time where his freewheeling attitude, let Trump be Trump, really is not appropriate. And look, the audiences were divided on who won, but those critical independents, the undecideds, and there still are plenty of them, I think probably went home thinking that she had done her prep work, she had studied up, and she was the more competent campaigner on this.
Interesting. Some say he clearly won on the trade issue, NAFTA and others. What do you think?
Yeah, that's one of his, strong suits. And I think, again, he is right to pin her down and say, look, it's opportunistic. You've been on both sides of this question. She tried to deflect that. And I think that, it's a very strong case he can make against trade agreements which have left our middle-class, blue-collar workers in the dust. And that is resonating with that segment of the population. Those are the people that first jumped aboard the Trump train and still are very much supportive of him. The problem is he just isn't extraordinarily articulate. And so when he makes an argument, he devolves back into kind of third grade language. And look, I'm supporting Donald Trump. I think he is a better candidate than Hillary Clinton. If nothing else, he's authentic. And I think actually that did come across last night. And he's not corrupt. Yes, he's had some business dealings that are on the edge, but she is a profoundly corrupt politician. And I really long for him to make that case more effectively. And I just hope that he will in the next one on October 9th.
Well, I think we all kind of came away with that feeling. The other question is that it appears last night that Hillary was clearly on the offense. He got him on the defense. Now, I will say his responses were good. I mean, he didn't let anything pass by. However, I don't think anybody was expecting Hillary to be the aggressor. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the prep that took place in Donald's camp and with his advisors probably emphasized the risk of him being too aggressive with her. For one thing, let's think about her calling him Donald throughout and him calling her Secretary Clinton. And you remember that sort of odd moment in the beginning where he looks at her and he says, "Is that okay?" I mean, I think somewhere in that head of his, people had said, "Be respectful." So he was making sure that he was being respectful. And by the way, since the bar was pretty low for Donald Trump in this debate, that is, all he had to do was not completely spin out of control or make a horrendous gaffe of not understanding something. The Aleppo moment for Gary Johnson comes to mind. He cleared that hurdle, pretty low bar, but nonetheless, being respectful, being considerate, and not being charged with sexism today for overstepping his aggression against Hillary Clinton, I think that was probably smart, and I think that worked for him.
All right. Liz, as always, thank you. What a delight to have you. Best to you.
My pleasure.
And we'll look forward to many more. We got a few more debates to go through.
Yeah, we do.
All right. See you later. All right. Liz Peek with us today, and she's a columnist for FoxNews.com, and also you can go to FiscalTimes.com. She's a pretty bright gal when it comes to fiscal issues, and she does write for FiscalTimes.com, and you can see all of her other commentary at FoxNews.com.